Hello and welcome to Cricket on Air, America's premium cricket show. I am Shri and once again we are going to take you through an outstanding journey about cricket. Friends, as we all know, sport influences our life in many different ways. Sometimes it shows us a way out of some problem, whereas sometimes it inspires us to work harder and achieve our goals. And sometimes it inspires the creative people to come up with some absolutely brilliant masterpieces. We met with someone who is passionate about filmmaking and is inspired by Indian cricket. He is making a film about India during the 2011 World Cup, basically trying to tell the story of the Indian cricket fan during the 2011 World Cup. Friends, our guest today is Sushrut Jain and he is making the cricket documentary Beyond All Boundaries. Sushrut is a budding filmmaker from Los Angeles. His first film, Andheri, won several awards in film festivals in the US and UK. We spoke to him because we share the same passion about sharing interesting cricket stories. Sushrut, thank you so much for talking to Cricket on Air.
My pleasure.
So, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into making films?
It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. Basically, I grew up in Bombay. So I was always around cinema, as one is when you grew up in that city.
Right.
And I came to the United States for my undergraduate studies many years ago, and like a good Indian boy, I pursued a bachelor's degree in sort of hard stuff like mathematics and economics, and then I went on to graduate school in economics at Stanford University, and worked as an economist for several years. The whole time, though, I felt that I was drawn to storytelling and writing, especially interested in telling stories that were Indian in nature, about Indian people, and ideally in India. And I eventually just decided to take the leap and apply to cinema graduate school at USC in Los Angeles. And I attended the MFA program there, where it's basically a program in a Master in Fine Arts in film production. So I studied there for 3 years.
Awesome, that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about what Beyond All Boundaries is about.
Beyond All Boundaries is basically, the idea is that we're going to tell a story about India during the World Cup of Cricket, which, obviously several months ago we had started anticipating it, and we knew it was going to be this huge event, right. The World Cup happening in India after 15 years, and there was so much anticipation. And myself as a cricket fan, I knew that this was a great opportunity for me to be there and experience it all. So it sort of started as that, and then eventually I developed the idea into, let's make this a documentary where we capture sort of what Indian life is like. So it's going beyond cricket, and we decided that the way we would do that is we would find people who are connected to cricket in a very strong way, and whose lives are being changed by cricket. Okay. And then we would find such people and then follow them, and hopefully be able to do justice to, telling the stories of their lives, and that would be what Beyond All Boundaries is. It's not just about cricket fans. Right. We wanted to capture, how cricket influences people in different ways. So there is the cricket fan, then there is the young sort of phenom cricket player who is, aspiring to play for Mumbai someday and aspiring to play for India someday. So we follow him, and then we followed a couple of girls who were also playing and trying to get onto the women's cricket team for the city of Mumbai.
Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. That's interesting. So how was it like really looking at the lives of these people, and were there any interesting incidences that you experienced when seeing the life of these people revolving around cricket?
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible experience filled with interesting things that happened, because we shot for basically 3 months, and pretty much every day. So we ended up shooting about 75 days with our characters. And initially when we got there, we had to do a lot of sort of shooting as well as researching at the same time, because your characters don't just fall in your lap. You have to go find them. And so in order to do that, we had to, we would go to a lot of cricket grounds get there at 6:37 in the morning and just watch kids play, talk to the little kids, talk to the coaches, talk to the parents. And we interviewed many people before we sort of arrived at the people that we thought would be the best for us for our film. And whose stories were most interesting. So, and then of course one of the main characters that we followed, Prithvi Shaw. He's a 12-year-old cricketer who is breaking all kinds of records in middle school cricket in Bombay, and everybody in the Bombay cricket scene, knows of this boy because he's played so well. And he comes from tremendous difficulty. I mean, his mother died when he was 2 years old. His father has basically raised him single-handedly, and very early on, when he was as young as 4, his father had figured out that this kid has talent. Which I don't know how you do that, but he was determined very early on to make this kid a cricketer, and his cricket success has brought them a lot of good things already, even though he's only 12. For instance, they were living in a suburb of Bombay called Virar, which is way out in the north of Bombay, and to get to any reputable cricket ground like the Bandra MIG ground, he had to travel for sometimes 2 hours in a very crowded train, and by the time he got there, he had to play a match and then go home and then get up early again, and it was very difficult for him, and everybody knew this. And when he started performing really well, people got interested and tried to help him, and ultimately the person who helped him was this man who is a major local politician in Bombay. He's part of a very very big party there, and he's a big name. He ended up giving him a house in Bandra. Which he has not paid for. He just lives in it with his father, and it makes it convenient for him to practice. And and we met this guy, the Shiv Sena person, who has had very high positions in government in Maharashtra. And he's just a cricket fan. And, he loves this kid now, and it's like almost like this community is raising this child, and all of them are hoping that tomorrow he'll play for India.
Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. The first thing that quickly came to my mind when I was hearing this right now was, is it too much of pressure for children?
I mean, it is part of our story, whether it is too much pressure or not. I mean, we don't ask that question in a sort of generalized way like you're asking. We will ask that question in how it pertains to Prithvi, because we are following Prithvi and his life and his struggles. And so you start to get a sense, hopefully, as the movie progresses, you will you'll have an answer for yourself, whether, and I think we won't be making that judgment for people. I think we'll leave that judgment up to them.
That's very interesting. But is he really enjoying playing cricket?
You're going to have to wait to watch the film.
Because I was going to say, if he's not really enjoying playing cricket, maybe we should ask his parents to go and watch Three Idiots. I'll go to another slightly generalized question here. Did you see any reason why Indian people really like cricket and only cricket? I mean, nobody talks of soccer, nobody talks of Formula One, maybe not even hockey, which is the national game.
I'll give you a slightly broader answer to that, because when we went out to India to shoot this film, these were the kinds of questions that I had in mind, and I wanted to know the answer to these types of things. But when I started shooting, I started to realize that what's actually really interesting is the stories of these people, and just their day-to-day challenges and how impossible some of the odds are for them, especially for our character Sudhir Kumar, the man from Bihar who has gone to every India cricket match held in India for the last 9 years, whether it's a match, whether it's a one-day match, whether it's T20, he's been there. And the way he has done it without any money, getting on trains, without buying tickets and hiding from the TCs, sometimes cycling for multiple days, sometimes weeks to get to a venue. Wow. And those types of challenges, you start to find out that the real questions that matter, they're much more human questions,
Okay.
It's kind of what I started to get interested in is just who is this guy? And then, you can, when you watch the film as a viewer, hopefully you will get a sense for the bigger questions as well. Like, you'll understand, sort of what the level of fanaticism is, why it's there. Everybody has different reasons for why they like cricket.
Okay.
It's an impossible question to answer.
Right.
On TV, people are watching the sport, and and as a result, some of the best young athletes want to play the sport.
Right.
And then, as a result of that, India starts to win. And I mean, it's the only sport really in which India is world dominant.
Exactly.
Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. Just let me put in a quick shout out here. Some of the references that we've been giving here are actually a part of the trailer that Sushrut has released of Beyond All Boundaries. Sushrut, I think that trailer is available on YouTube and also on your website. Could you give us a few details about that?
Absolutely. So it's a quick 4-minute teaser that we put together while we were shooting based on some of the footage that we'd shot. And you can find it on the website of the film, which is www.cricketdocumentary.com.
Okay.
And on that, on the About the Film page, there's the thing at the very top is the teaser. You can just click it and watch it in HD, and it's 4 minutes, sort of just hopefully to get you excited about what the film's going to be about.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was really excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that about Sudhir that people should know is not just that he is completely penniless and he still follows the game, but that, a lot of times in India, people are seduced by the media and they want to be on TV and that's why they do certain things.
Right.
And I was a little worried before I met Sudhir that he might be that type of person.
Okay.
But having spent several weeks with this guy, where we were eating together, just walking around the city together, doing things together, I started to get to really understand that this guy he's the real deal. Like, he's genuinely a cricket fan. He does it. If no one was watching him, he would still be doing it.
Right.
Right. And of course he appreciates the attention that he gets. I mean, he is aware of it, but he's a true believer, and he is the most I love the guy. Like, he's a genuinely likable person. Okay. And you will see that in the film, and it'll be hard to turn away when he's talking, because he has the enthusiasm of a 8-year-old,
Right.
And yeah, he seemed very genuine, even in the trailer, in the rushes that you have. He seems very genuine in the way he talks about. So that's great. Maybe we should try and contact him somehow and have him on Cricket on Air sometime. It'll be great to talk to him. Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. So, another question that came about in my mind after watching the trailer really was that you not only interviewed like these general people, fans or someone like Prithvi, but also actual cricketers, and you also had them talk about how cricket is a huge phenomenon in India. What were those experiences like?
I mean, they were incredible. If you're a cricket fan growing up in India, then meeting some of your idols alone is super exciting. I think after I met and interviewed Saurav Ganguly, probably the next week I was walking on air. Just having met the man himself, and he gave us such a fantastic interview. He was so such a gentleman and so well spoken. I walked away from that feeling so great that we were able to do it.
So you actually visited Saurav Ganguly's house?
Yeah, we were in his house.
Wow.
We had tea with him. We had, it was amazing. It was just a total fluke, because the way we met him was, again, incredible. The thing that people should know about our film is that we don't have the support of any big organization, any big production company. There was no producer except me, really, and I was also the director. So I had a lot of responsibility, and we had no connections to anybody high up in society in India. So everything that we were able to do was either just by luck or by just, pure desire, So getting an interview with Saurabh was, the reason it happened was because Sudhir, the super fan, he had, before the World Cup, had left his bicycle at Saurabh Ganguly's house.
Oh, wow.
Because he had no place that he could put it that was safe.
Okay.
Where at the end of the World Cup, when it was all over, he had to go and give the bike back to somebody in his hometown in Bihar. And so to do that, we were with him, and we went to Saurabh Ganguly's house with him, and we didn't expect really that we would actually see the man. But when he was picking up his bike, sure enough, there was Saurabh just standing around, chatting and talking to him and being nice. And I introduced myself, and I said, hey, we're making a film about this guy and about many other things, and it would be fantastic for us to interview you. And he said, sure enough, show up tomorrow and we'll do it.
Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. You mentioned that you were following the stories of these few other people, and I believe the reason behind doing that was you also wanted to capture stories that happen in rural parts of India, some story that happens in the cities of India, etc. So were you really able to do that especially when the World Cup was going on?
I think so. I think the one of the reasons I wanted to make this movie was that cricket is probably the only thing that crosses all boundaries in India.
Right.
If you're from the north and you speak Hindi, and if you're from Tamil Nadu and you speak only Tamil,
right.
You don't watch the same movies.
Okay. Yeah.
The Tamil cinema is completely different, and the Malayali cinema is completely different, and Bhojpuri cinema is completely different, and they don't listen to each other's music.
Right.
So there's actually really nothing that kind of brings everybody together, and the cultures are so very different from each other. But when it comes to cricket, it's the one thing that whether you're in a big city, whether you're in a small town, whatever language you speak, what caste you're what religion you are, it just kind of melts away. And there's probably no other, set of heroes quite like the Indian cricket team, for instance.
Right.
So we knew that, we need to find a way to express that and capture that. And so we were able to do that to some degree because, Sudhir was probably the one person who we went around the country with. Then he went on his bicycle from Calcutta to Muzaffarpur, Bihar. It took him several days, and we were with him the whole time.
Okay.
So then we spent time in the village where he was born and raised, and we met the people from his village, his family, and his teacher, and those types of things. And so we really got a sense for what village life in Bihar is like. And then on the other end, you've got these cricketers, like the three and the two girls who are from Bombay.
Correct.
And you get the real sort of flavor of Bombay cricket and Bombay fans. So I think we got, I think you will see many, many states represented in our shooting in the film. And, not one is like the other.
Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. So, I believe you've shot all that you wanted to. I'm sure there's a lot of footage that you have, and now you are trying to put the whole thing together. Looking at the trailers, looking and listening to the stories that you have shared with us today, I'm sure I am, and everyone who's listening to this is very, very excited about watching the film. So what's the roadmap going forward about completing the film, about releasing it, etc.?
Yeah, we have, almost 200 hours of footage.
Wow.
And, a lot of it has to be, just watching it is an enormous task. It's going to take a long time. And, I expect that, over the next several months, basically post-production, which is what we are in now, is going to be it's definitely going to take way longer than production took. I imagine that it'll take us somewhere between 9 months to a year from today.
Wow.
To finish this film. And the challenges are huge because we're doing our post-production here in Los Angeles.
Right.
So, in India, we were able to get crew for a lot cheaper.
Right.
And, now the big challenge is we've got to get really good people to work on the film. And to get really good people to work on the film, you've got to raise a lot of money, basically.
Right.
So the challenge is just being able to pay them what they deserve.
Correct.
And then also be able to pay for all the technical stuff that you have to do when you finish your film.
That's right.
There's a lot of studio time that you have to do for things like sound mixing and color correction. And there we have to pay. Nobody cares that we're making a movie about cricket.
Yeah.
So we've got to pay them what it costs, and that's the big challenge. So I think we were able to raise enough money the first time around to get us through production, which was actually amazing.
Okay.
And now we have to go back and do the same thing again for post-production.
Okay.
And getting the word out, especially to Indians in the U.S. Who are in a position, to support a project like this, who care about India, who care about cricket, who want to see a film like this get made, and maybe they have nothing to do with film, but they are interested in being a part of something like this.
Time for a quick break, friends. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sushrut Jain and about his film Beyond All Boundaries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cricket on Air, friends. I am Shri, and today we are talking to Sushrut Jain, who is making the film about cricket called Beyond All Boundaries. Sushrut, how should people get in touch with you if they want to if they have questions about fundraising and helping you?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say there is the easiest way is to get to the website, and on the website, there's a simple way that if you want to donate a small amount of money, anything we call small, anything under $1,000 US. That's a donation. That's easy to do on the website. If you're interested in becoming an investor, and right now we have about 5 or 6 investors. An investor is anybody who puts in more than $1,000 and actually expects that they will get return or hopes to get return if the movie sells.
Okay.
And within the investors, we have an official contract that we fill out, which guarantees investors getting money back and so on. And the way to do that would be to contact me. Okay, so my contact is basically my email, and that is Sushrut, that's sushrut.jain@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, tell me you're interested, or if there's one of the other things we've been doing is there have been consortiums of people. If individuals aren't willing to give $1,000 themselves, they say, I'm going to get me and my 4 buddies together who I watch the cricket matches with.
Right.
And all 5 of us are going to put in $1,000 and become investors. So that's another thing that we've had success with.
A lot of Indians, I'm sure, are going to see the documentary, are going to see the trailers, and definitely going to feel that this film has to be made. And I'm sure many people are going to come forward and trying to help you make this film a big success. We really look forward to hearing more from you about the progress you're going to make about the film. And also, we are very eager to know when the film releases. So do let us know, and I'm sure Cricket on Air would always be there to help you in every which way possible. And I really wish you good luck for everything that you have to do about Beyond All Boundaries.
Well, thank you so much. And just one last thing I'll say is that to people who are listening, is that we're making a documentary that's basically going to go out hopefully to the leading film festivals in the US and in Europe, and then ultimately, if it is a good film, that it ends up playing on TV channels in the States and in India. But really, the intent to make this film never came from an idea of like, hey, let's get money. We did it because we love the sport, and it's a way of giving back to the sport and to the country. So that's kind of that's what you would be a part of, basically.
We genuinely feel that your heart is in the right place, and I'm sure for such an endeavor that comes straight from the heart, I'm sure you will find ways of getting around every single problem that you have. Sushrut, thank you so much for talking to Cricket on Air.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate your interest and keep up the good work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.